Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week from the 7th of September to the 14th of September. Yeah. Okay, first for the video that I thought I'm sorry, that's not the only not good video. Which, like, I don't want to beat a dead horse, right? I've technically already, so, like, okay. Anime Man put out another fall 2020 anime season. What will I be watching? And if you recall, I certainly do. He did I covered this exact kind of video last year. So I thought I saw it and I was like, you know, that'd be kind of interesting to like take a year, like to just take a video and then he kind of makes it the next year and see if there's any improvements. And there wasn't. There was definitely more liveliness in the editing, I would say, and that's because Mudan's editing it. Yeah, boy. But what's my problem with Anime Man, with this fucking fall 2020 anime season thing, and it's what a lot of people do. I mean, I should probably go in and really look at how all the people who make these videos and see if anybody does what I was kind of hoping someone would do in a video format like this, where like you look into these titles that are airing and like look at the staff and like look at the people making it and what it's based on, you know, maybe get a better feeling for it. Like all the things that Joey was he made himself look kind of foolish in this, in my opinion. I think he looked very unread. I like the idea of having a raw first impression of these titles and stuff, and not, you know, having any background info or whatever, and kind of reacting to it like, oh, that sounds interesting. But then go further, and like that realization of like finding out this person's directing it, or it's based on a manga by this person. Like, it was weird that he talks about how excited he is for the new Higurashi anime, but doesn't seem to realize that the new character designer is the same designer as the Monogatari series. So the characters look like characters from Monogatari. Like, it's very similar character design. And that's a very significant change for Higurashi in particular, which are very distinct character designs. So like, and he loves Monogatari. Why didn't he know that? Why didn't he pick up on that? Because he only is looking at the cover. He's not even looking at the PV in this. He's showing the PV in the video, but he's not reacting to it. He doesn't know how good these anime look. Some of it is already animated. So he's judging of what these anime are probably going to look like. Oh, that's probably going to look good. It's production IG. They've animated some of it. Look, it's right there, you know? But it's so weird. I don't know. And like the tidbit of like To Your Eternity. Okay, so like, first of all, he's reacting to Your Eternity. It's this anime, and it's a manga adaptation from the same author of A Silent Voice. This is her follow-up work. I think it's a she. It's her follow-up work, and I remember the first chapter coming out, and it was kind of a splash at the time. And so this is a big deal. But not only does Joey not bring that up in the video, but he doesn't even realize, like, it's not even updated on an AniChart yet, but they delayed it. It's not even happening in fall 2020. So, like, you know, it's like, you know what I mean? It just comes off as very unprepared. And I like the rawness. And, like, again, I'm repeating myself at this point. Like, you can be fresh about it, but have that information available for people so they can make an educated decision, and you can make an educated decision. And, like, he just kind of shits on a random isekai. Like, this one, like, I get he focuses mostly on the shows that, like, he wants to watch, but he went out of his way to describe this one seasonal that, like, is an isekai. And it looks good. It looked interesting. I mean, I watched the PV, and I didn't think it had a whole lot of energy to it, or a lot of, like, it kind of felt a little more Iyashike, like, little slice of lifey. But the concept is really different. The guy gets teleported to a world, and he's a slime collector, basically. He studies slimes and uses slimes for his tasks and stuff. And he goes around and he has a posse of people, and they're all different ages and different. It's not all girls, right? And it's kind of different, and it looks interesting. But Joey's not going to do any of it. He just clowns on the fact that it's an isekai and thinks it's going to be generic because of that. Exactly what Valerix and Leth are countering. So, like, there is evidence of this. And I'm sorry to bring it back to that. They probably stopped listening. But, like, I get that. You're right. bring that forward. I think there's perfect evidence right here of an anime YouTuber shitting on an isekai that they haven't even fucking tried yet. It's not even out yet, so like say, how can they try it? They didn't even give it they looked at the poster and the synopsis and they skipped it. That's so toxic to just dismiss people. And like kind of like, because he's such a big personality and a huge platform, it gives people license to do that themselves. And I think that's very discouraging for people who might be fans of that and want people to get into it. I think it just develops this hive mind mindset, and so then people are going to be very cynical about isekai. And I get it's an oversaturated market at this point. I think there is some argument to that. But come on, dude. That's so disrespectful, to me at least. But like, yeah, I was really let down by it. And like, I like the guy. I like his videos. It just... this sucks. It sucks that he does that. Oh well. But this really got me thinking. Like, I would want to do a season. I'll try it. I don't know. Maybe I won't. But like, I think there is a market here for like, because I don't see anybody doing this. I don't see anybody going through the anime seasonal chart very thoroughly and be like, this person's directing it. They did this. And this is something you might want to look into or whatever. You know, like, actually give a shit about, instead of like, I'm gonna be watching it, I'm probably gonna watch none of these, and I would probably do a better job at this. It's selling you this idea of like, wow, I don't know. I'm sorry it boils down to I could make a better video than this. I don't usually try to do that with Digest, but it really got me thinking. It was like, man, it's really got me feeling like I'd love to make something like this, and just kind of is like, this is how I would like it to be done personally. And, I think that's why a lot of us make videos, right? It's so that we want something to exist, and it's like nobody's doing it, so we'll do it. I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking, but don't hold me to it. Okay, now for the videos that I thought were decent. Yeah, pretty good. I enjoyed it. I watched a skit from Revel House featuring Snap, Life of a Rule 34 Artist. And it's just a sketch, and kind of has the RDC world vibe of, a concept and execution sort of thing, but it's very professionally made, like quote unquote professional, where with like the widescreen and the nice the scenes and stuff. It's well shot and has the effort behind it. But it kind of has this silly idea of an artist, like when a Pokemon Direct happens and a new trainer or a new Pokemon shows up, they instantly have to get art for it so they can get that traffic. He's kind of playing on that. And I like Snap's feature here where she's like the Nintendo Direct spokeswoman. And she's like, we just stopped giving a shit. Here's a Pokemon looks like a fucking human. Or whatever. That was really funny. I like that inclusion that Revel House had. And I like the concept. It's not much further than that. But I think there was good acting here on both ends, and I like the production value to it. Again, it isn't just like, I think a lot of sketch comedy these days, and like, why not? Because it's pretty well, it can be pretty well done. Kind of like the Caleb City Pro ZD thing, where you're just kind of filming yourself, and you're playing you're playing like all the characters sort of deal. I like that Revel House put a little more effort into it, and went further with the joke. I thought that was fun. So yeah, I liked that. Yeah, nice. Funimation has a new series called like, I can't even, it's not even in the title, it's in the thumbnail. Flashback? Yeah, something like that. Why you need to watch Yu Yu Hakusho with Cheyenne Ulu. I'm sorry I mispronounced that. She seems to be kind of someone affiliated with Funimation, but they're kind of going into that like anime YouTuber kind of market, I guess. Which like, this is literally just aping off of Super iPad 12's title, which is really funny. And it shows how ahead of the curve he was. But this is obviously a much shorter video. It's like 5 minutes. So she doesn't have too much to say about it. but it's very generic, like hey, Yu Yu Hakusho's really fun, and it kind of gave me like Getting the Robot vibes too, where like the personality is really fun and quirky, and they have kind of a script that they're going, but they ad lib off the cuff sort of deal sometimes, and it's she's a very affable personality, I think is the word for it. Yeah, I like seeing her. She and I like the infectious sort of love she has for Yu Yu Hakusho. Is like, man, that dark tournament arc, that's some good shit, that sort of thing. It was fun, and the praise in the dub, I appreciate that. It was really funny. Funimation, because they have the license for Yu Yu Hakusho and they have the ability to actually license these clips. They have the copyright Togashi and like the actual legit URL, like not URL, but like the actual copyright like trademark in the corner of the video, which is like, oh, they're official, they're legit, which is like, guess we can't, guess we're not that. Would it be? So that was funny, and it was a decent production too. It doesn't try to like. I would have preferred that it try to captures the vibe of Yu Yu Hakusho. I kind of like those sort of videos where it's like, be in the vibe of what you're talking about, making it an aesthetic experience. But this it felt very little retro-y, and I don't know, a little Getting the Robot like a little bit, which is like, hey, if some people are getting influenced by Getting the Robot, that's a W. I mean, some people might see it as an L, especially how I really didn't take to a lot of their content, but I think it's interesting that Funimation is a corporation. No, that they're doing something like this. That was pretty cool. So yeah, that was certainly something to see. I was recommended a strip panel naked video, how to balance acting and dialogue in comics. Urasawa, strip panel naked. And I was recommended another one, but I saw it and it was okay. I didn't have much to say about it, but this one I really liked. The guy seems to talk mostly just about comics. And by comics, I literally mean the like DC Marvel Image, like comics. A little bit of manga, but I like that he's talking about some manga. Heck yeah, and some Urasawa. Count me the fuck in. It's not too much. I like the point that he's making, but it is one of those situations where it's a 2-minute point stretched to a 10-minute video, a little bit, and it wasn't my favorite decision where he kind of is like, I just picked some random page from the first volume of Pluto, and he makes it sound arbitrary, and it's like, you don't have to go out of your way to do that. I like that I like saying that you are deliberately showing us this because it shows an intent. Whereas if you're being carefree, kind of like, almost, I guess, I don't know if flippant's the word, but like, oh, I just closed my eyes and dropped my hand on a page. It's like, oh, okay. It doesn't do it for me the same way as someone who makes this sort of content as well. It's like, gotta be, really get in there, be focused. If you're focused, if you're like, if you have that investment in what you're talking about, I think the audience can kind of catch on to that. That's my feelings on it. But I think I like his point here, how Urasawa strikes a really good balance of what's going on and the characters' facial expressions with what they're saying. Because if there's too much dialogue in a particular panel, then the panel pretty much is dedicated to that speech bubble, to what they're saying, but not necessarily to what's being shown, right? And there's a balance to be struck when a character is talking, but you want to see their facial expression. So he shows this example how, like, in one panel he separates the statement into 2 panels, and so he gets to show 2 different facial expressions, and it allows for more nuance. So I like those points, and I thought it was a well-produced video too. I kind of like as much as I'm not the biggest fan of the flippantness or the I don't know what to call it really. This is like, it's a video, I guess, I do like the way he starts this video. I don't know if he does this for every video, if that's just like his intro. It's kind of a cool intro if it's the case. But he's like, hey, I don't got a lot of time. Here's the first thing at Pluto or something. And the way he he couches the beginning where he's like, hey, I'm just going out the door, but before I go, here's the, it kind of gets you a little antsy. It gets us like, he's not beating around the bush here, even though when it's like, you look at it, it's a produced essay type video, you know. It's like, you're not fully committing to that. Like it is pretty polished in that regard. So like the facade is a little fake in that way, but I like it. It kind of gives a sort of immediacy, and it really invests the audience like kind of right away. I kind of like that. There's the small point that I noticed. I liked it. So I'm repeating myself a bunch. But yeah, that was cool. Nice video. Thank you for sending me that comment. I'm sorry, I didn't write it who it was. I finally checked out another Allonsyyy video after a long time. Manga collecting debate. Manga hauls are bad? And this is actually coming off a little bit of a hiatus for him. He was like 5 months without a video. And he's kind of slowing down a lot, but that's okay. And he came back to talk about the idea of manga hauls, basically the videos that like he gets like an order, a shipment of manga or anime. And it's, a video of them kind of showing what they bought, basically. And he talks about how, like, yeah, it can be a little hollow if that's all the video is. But if they're a good YouTuber, first of all, they're not relying on just that for their content. I think because a lot of people are like, I mean, I'm not very versed in this community, but it seems to be that, like, a lot of people kind of look down on them because it's an easy way to get views and, kind of a shallow type of content, but he's like, no, there is a lot of value to be gained from doing this if it's done well, where they're talking about it and why they bought it, and what they've heard about it, and it convinces other people to check it out, not even to buy it, and he talks about how like, oh, it guilts people out in like needing to buy more things if they have a spending problem, and it's like, no, that's a you problem. That's not a fault of the video. That's something you need to straighten out. And most of these videos, I assume, aren't telling people you must buy this or something. They're not peer pressuring them into doing it. It's a lot of fun for people, and people like making them. That's the other thing. It's like, let people make what they want to make. And, it makes me reflect a lot on the way other people make this sort of content that just kind of plays the algorithm and is a little shallow in that way. Like top 10 whatever videos or what have you. And that's definitely fair. It's like, let people do what they want. But, I think I think Allonsyyy mentions this, where if you just do that kind of content, if you just play the algorithm, you're going to get disappointed with YouTube. You're going to burn out, and it's not as fun. It's like, yeah, cool. It's, yeah, and so you kind of have to make the content you enjoy making. So if you enjoy making top 10s and you like challenging yourself in however you make a challenge out of that, I mean, sure. Whatever you like, it's fun. And so a lot of people like, so I like that Allonsyyy is combating a lot of this toxicity, and he's like, don't take it too seriously, guys. Come on. And yeah, I think that was a good video for him to make, and I like him being kind of a voice in that regard for his community. He's definitely more in with it than I am. I'm only really subscribed to him and like maybe one or two others. I can't even remember, but I hardly click on their videos. I just kind of do it. I'm just kind of subbed to keep tabs on stuff, to see what the scene is like, what the trends are, But I like that he talked about it. That was a good video from him. And last, I saw a KorewaEden video. The worst Yuri anime ever made Sakura trick. At 2 point. Is that really the Mal score? I don't think that's the Mal score, dude. Let me fact check you here. Maybe I'm wrong. Watch my face when I'm surprised that it is not. It's not 2.44. You lied to me. You're a liar. I'm kidding. Don't sweat it. It's a 7.0. Yeah. But I liked that you talked about it. I like the energy you brought again. The kind of like, oh, I love it, but I hate it, but I love it, but I hate it. That energy is really great. I gotta tell you, dude, you're not gonna like what I'm about to tell you. But it was funny. I was watching your video, and it really sounded like a Nuxtaku video. It sounded like the energy and the kind of quips you were making, and the investment you had in it, the way it was paced with like the different scenes of sorts of like you talking about this thing and then this thing and then this thing. I don't know, dude. You got me. You had me some Nux Taku vibes. But and I know it's but I have to say you one up Nux in regards to you yourself also editing the same video that you're presenting, because when you have that energy and you have those jokes and that snark, you know exactly what to put there. Whereas Nux having somebody else edit it, they kind of have to either kind of put their own snark on it or try to figure out what Nux was going for. Whereas I feel like this is like raw. This is like right from the creator. So I really like the way you edit your videos, and it's not too much different than the way you've edited your videos in the past. I don't think there's so much of an evolution lately. It's kind of a lot of the similar images and whatnot. A lot of reused kind of. I felt like towards the end of the video you were kind of using similar sequences that you're using at the beginning, sort of deal. But like I like that the energy you have, which is very Nux-like to me at least, was transferring into the editing as well very effectively. And I thought it was making for a very fun, engaging sort of video where it's very rage-inducing or funny and like, yeah, we like this. And there's some what was there's this one joke you had where it was like a bunch of monkeys. It was like ooh, ooh, ooh. I forget what it was. It was like commenting on a commonly stated I forget. It was so funny. But like you this is what and I've mentioned in previous videos that like you have that like awareness of the community and like what the deal is, you know, and when you say like, look, they probably aren't being, I don't know. I felt like you echoed something from Digest in that one point where you said like the animes probably didn't give a fuck, but they did. They just weren't getting paid enough, but that's not, you know, you're just kind of rolling on with that, like run on sentence sort of deal. You know, and in a kind of a flippant sort of way, and not like the way Jeff did it, where he's like, they probably weren't being paid enough. I don't know. Yeah, but I enjoyed this video a good deal. Thank you. That was fun. Okay, and now we're going to talk about the best videos of the week, ones I really enjoyed. I was like, yeah, you know, what it be. And the first is a bit of more of a shout out than like a fully, because, you know, once again, it's a podcast starring me. Roll B footage of every time I do that. It happens all the time, which I'm very happy for. Thank you for everybody who asks me to join them on their podcast, etc. But Kato had me talk about should you become an AniTuber, and we went for a while. So the video I link in the description isn't the full conversation. The full conversation is like an hour and a half or something, and it was pretty lengthy and dope. We talked a lot all over the place with not just about being an anime YouTuber, but just, you know, the interaction you have as a creator versus watching an anime and the relationship you have with that, and, you know, the kind of the realities of doing YouTube, I guess, where it's like, you know, there's some downsides to it and some truth bombs and stuff like that with like, you know, getting a video to blow up is kind of overrated because of the comments and what your relationship is with comments. What's the right play with deleting videos and keeping videos up, and it's kind of going into that mindset a little bit. So I really enjoyed this conversation. I thought they were great, and you should check it out after Digest if you don't have anything else to listen to. Would it be? You'll never believe it, but I finally got to talk about a JoJo Talks Too Much video, because this isn't one of his videos that he makes all the time. There's just an episode review, which I never really have the incentive to talk about on Digest because it's pretty much all he makes. Granted, I looked through his channel to see if he's made anything else besides that, and looked through the playlist and everything, but this seems to be pretty different, which is unfortunate because I was looking at the views on his channel in comparison to the other videos recently kind of surrounding this video, and it's not as successful, unfortunately. But like, I mean, it's probably because it's not a currently airing series, He talks about free here. The video is The Secrets of the Iwatobi Designs, Character Design and Color Analysis. It's 32 minutes of him. It seems mostly off the cuff, which is, I think, is most of his videos, but he does have notes that he takes. And it was pretty well structured, going character by character of the main four, and going over their swimmer kind of sort of attire, as well as the outfits they wear in the ED, which he's particularly fond of, and their general color palette and design, their kind of philosophy of why they might be designed that way, and why those colors represent them. And I like that he prefaces this with, I'm not a pro, and I did have to Google kind of the literary symbol of magenta, right? And I like that he's very transparent about that, and it's just coming from a place of personal passion. This seems to be his all-time favorite series, which is an interesting pick. I'm pretty happy to hear that. I think that's really interesting, and I love that you're talking about your favorite show. It's always the Kino shit. But I really liked this. It's a very personal kind of conversation. He feels very comfortable talking with his audience and even interacting in the live chat in the same way, and people are interacting very healthily back with him. He's developed a very good community, a very strong community, even in just his episode reviews and stuff, which like you wouldn't expect from this sort of content, I think. Usually just like the hot their take or whatever, but like I like that JoJo has really made this a conversation with his followers, and he's on Twitch too, and it's awesome. But I really enjoyed this. It was a very comfortable 30 minutes. There isn't too much going on visually, but like he just has his avatar in various different expressions, and the expressions were not lazy. I actually really like, for how long this video is, he does take a lot of care in choosing what expressions, and it's a very typical YouTube thing to do, with like the kind of art avatar and the kind of bobbing around, and sometimes there's there's 4 or 5 different expressions. A lot of the time it can come off as a little lazy. Not that the tool itself isn't lazy, but the way it's implemented is very kind of nothing. It's like different poses. I don't know what expression he's making here. This, I guess. But JoJo's avatar in particular has a lot of like it matches his demeanor a lot. For how he's talking, like the neutral one is very like, it's his avatar actually. It's just kind of him talking very happily or whatever, and then he has a lot of different expressions that really fit with how he talks, and it's all synced very specific. It's not flashing too much. I know this is very nitty gritty. It's like, who gives a shit, but like especially as a visual experience, I think that's very important, especially for how big this video is. And it's all, very, it's kind of low effort in that regard. It's not like he's getting all the clips and stuff, and he's not putting the most effort into this, but that's okay. I think the content is mostly his speaking. And so for what visuals that there are used, I think it's very smart and efficient, very economic, I suppose. So it was great to finally talk about a video of his, and I really enjoyed it. I do encourage you to make more of these. I would hope you enjoyed doing that. I like that you don't try to boast yourself as some sort of expert, and you're really coming from a place of, man, I love this outfit of his for this, and I love the orange, and it's very detailed as well. His analysis itself, I don't usually talk about that sort of thing on Digest. Of like, I like that he talked how like Ray has this, or And again, also, I'm not much of a. I haven't watched all of Free. I actually watched it when it aired. But I didn't finish it, and it was with my anime group at the time. But that was about it. Like the first 6 episodes of the first season, like 6 years ago, like 7 years ago, I guess now. Jeez. Yeah. So like, I really liked that from you, and I do encourage you to make more, even though it wasn't the most successful view-wise on your channel. But that's okay. I think it's great. Yeah. Good shit. The Canipa Effect put out the 2.5D animation of Shadowverse and Beyond, as well as 2.5D animation of Danganronpa and Beyond. And he says animator spotlight. He's not talking about a particular animator here. He's more talking of a style and how it's evolved over the past few years. It wasn't the most thorough, in a way, and I'm including the spoiler-free video in the digest because I haven't read through V3, and I kind of do still, so I don't want to be spoiled to it. So that's why I didn't click on the Danganronpa video, even though I am a fan of Danganronpa. I like that he talked about basically the style of choice of using three-dimensional backgrounds and using two-dimensional characters effectively. And there's different nuances and like different levels to it, which he uses different examples from. You know, he talks about VTubers and how they're I forget the name of the technology. He name drops a lot of the different programs that these guys use that effectively transform two-dimension. Like the VTuber stuff is effectively two-dimensional, but the way it moves so much, it makes it three-dimensional, which is really interesting. And there's a lot of the illustrative drawings and designs that for the longest time could never be properly translated into animation the same way. I like the example he brings up with Amano's designs on Gibiate, which is like I probably mispronounced that. It was a seasonal that aired this year, but like it looks not great, and it doesn't look like Amano designed the characters either, because all of his designs are very illustrative, and so that's very difficult to translate into anime in the same way. At least nowadays, I guess. I think they came out. You could tell they were Amano designs in Legend of Arslan. I don't know what happened. the end of the Cell era. That's what happened. But yeah, I love that point that he made, where it's like, look at the Amano's original designs versus how it was translated into animation. It's not easy. And I like the spotlight here. I was also very happy that you made a spoiler-free version of this video. I don't know, it was just because you weren't getting as many views or something due to popular demand, or you just thought of it. But like, I love that you went out of your way to do that and made a whole video about that. It's not the full experience, but I was happy to enjoy this and learn more about this really interesting technique of animation. So I really liked that. I was very happy to see that video. Thank you for creating a spoiler-free version of it. That was awesome. And lastly is what I consider the best, because it was the one I had the most fun watching, really. CDawgVA with I Fixed the Worst Voice Acting in Anime Again. I did not check out the first one, or the hentai one. Obviously not the hentai one, but I don't know. I was curious. I was curious about this one. So I checked it out, and it's way more than just like, I insert my voice. The way the thumbnail shows it to you is very shallow and almost does it a disservice for what he's doing here. He is assembling a whole team of different voice actors, so it's a collaborative effort. And then he's going in and showing you all the detail of how he did this. He's giving you the mic, like the type of mic that he has, the distance in which to bring your voice at, which I was like, oh shit. As someone who you're like, what do you mean you've been recording videos for how many years? And I'm like, yeah, no, I didn't know that. Cool. Whatever. But like, yeah, and going over them, and I like that he's not very overly biased about it. He actually says how he's like, there are areas where we could have done better. Or this dub is actually good, and there's just this one part that's not the best, and that's what we're fixing. Like the Claned, there's a scene from Claned, and traditionally a lot of people love that dub, and he agrees. He actually thinks it's a very good dub, but there's this one character that is not the best. So like, he effectively redubs the entire scene with the sound effects. He tries to recreate the sound effects, or gather the other ones, gather the soundtrack, recreate the soundtrack on Fiverr in some cases. Like, there's a lot of effort that went into this. It's similar to, it reminded me a bunch of Totally Not Mark, his video on fixing DBZ's, Dragon Ball Super's animation. It's the same principle where it's like, we're not fixing in-betweens, we're fixing specifically the keyframes, and they go through the thought process of what they were doing here. And it's an educational thing, as well as a fun little, memeing on the bad shit, right? It's very additive in that way. I really like that it wasn't very mean-spirited in regards to these dubs. Like, see, Connor doesn't, like, sugarcoat it. He's like, ugh, it's not good, But I like that he it was very tasteful in that way, especially when he was saying how like there's points where they don't do as good of a job, or he says like the real problem in this Yu-Gi-Oh redub, they have like a Singapore dub that he uses, and he's like the real problem is the script because it's awful. And I like that he's like, we're not going to change the script because it's like, yeah, what can you do with certain reasons? We don't know if the script was stipulated by the Japanese by the licensors and they don't have any control over that. It's the voice acting that they're most interested in and not necessarily the choice of words. And I like that he brought up some of the challenges. Like he shows you the clip, the finished clip of this one clip from DBZ, that like there's a somebody that like Chi says something and he's like, that's actually really hard to match and to sync with the lip flaps. That's very demanding. It's very hard to like get any added emotion or intent in there, and so like that sort of nuanced take is excellent to hear. And it's so professional, again, like a lot of things that Connor does, even though a lot of what he does is very silly and juvenile and like kind of, you know, like he's trying on these wacky cosplays and everything like that, and he has a very silly personality sometimes. I feel like all of his videos have such a professional feeling to them, and he's very, you know, tasteful, and he's not like shitting on people for no reason, right? He just uploaded a video today about getting applications for Rent a Boyfriend or whatever because he was watching Rent a Girlfriend, and he doesn't belittle anybody, I don't think, or at least like, you know, he does a little clowning, but it's never in like a mean-spirited way, and that's so tasteful and respectful of him. And I love watching his shit, dude. It's so professionally done. I think this is really good, and the thumbnail, I think, cheapens it. I think it makes it look like I'm better than these people or whatever, but he doesn't have that attitude at all. And I think you learn a fair deal. And I like that it's a very creative, collaborative effort. I like that Sid Snap's in here, that sort of thing. It's awesome. I enjoyed the shit out of it. This is my favorite video this week. Thank you for watching this episode of AniTube Digest. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to my patrons, including Beamburst, Hazel, Kuiper, Kazuki, MyAnimePod, Najbeb, Unique Nameosaurus, and Yellow Cheese. You guys have a great week. Yo, peace.